And I totally see your point as far as like Ethereum is, long-term future. It seems to me that in the short term, maybe the next year, people don't care about not being able to run a full node or any of that stuff. For instance, I don't know, like Raoul Paul coming out saying he's interested in Ethereum. I saw Tur Meester on a podcast, on the Masari podcast, talk about, said, oh, I might get in trouble for this, but I do own some Ethereum because I don't want my personal views to, get in the way of a good trade. And even maybe you can shed some light on this. I saw Kraken was looking for an Ethereum evangelist to go on TV and talk about Ethereum and also keep Kraken in tune with the good, quote unquote, projects in Ethereum. So it seems to me like Ethereum in 2021 is going to be speculated on hard. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think that all depends on what the new money entering into the space is going to be interested in. In 2017, the idea of having programmable smart contracts and ICOs was very attractive to new people coming into the space, and so that's why a lot of capital went into Ethereum. In 2020, I don't think that narrative exists anymore, right? I don't hear about the JavaScript software developers who are excited about Solidity. That kind of got played out, and there's maybe that'll change, but right now I don't think that that's why people are interested in crypto. If we look at what rationale is the new money coming in for, right? What is their stated rationale? It's because they want to have a scarce asset. It's because they want to own Bitcoin, right? So we haven't seen any Paul Tudor Jones equivalent say, hey, look, I'm really excited about World Computer. That's why I'm getting into Ethereum. We haven't heard anyone say, hey, I'm really excited about stable coins, and that's why we're going into Ethereum. It's just not, it's not a thing. Maybe that'll change, but again, I think that we have to look at what is the new money interested in. If ICOs had been successful as a whole, right, then I think that the new money would still be interested in ICOs. But because ICOs were fundamentally flawed in their economics, right, where there was zero accountability and people were just, able to squander all this capital that they raised, because ICOs were flawed, their narrative fizzled out. And so narratives that are not sustainable, narratives that are not based on economic fundamentals, what they do is that they don't survive the bear markets, right? They have a hype cycle, but they revert to their fundamental value, which is zero. And that's why Ethereum had zero value accrual through that hype cycle, is that the fundamentals of its narrative were vacuous. They were non-existent. And so now what we have to look at is, are the fundamentals of this new narrative, right? Okay, so let's just take DeFi, for example, or NFTs or any of these others. Is there economic substance to them? I think that no. And specifically because I don't think that the value capture mechanism exists, whereby value creation from DeFi or NFTs trickles down into ETH. I don't think that value capture mechanism exists. It's a fantasy. And so it either gets burnt by miners, right, through transaction fees, which we're seeing a lot of. So, okay, that's fine. I don't have anything against that. But that doesn't mean that it's getting accrued by ETH holders, or it's getting diluted out by the massive amount of ETH issuance that is occurring, right? And Ethereum influencers don't want to talk about the dilution, which is continuing and will continue until some future date, which we don't have on the calendar, but eventually some future date where we move to proof, or where Ethereum moves to proof of stake, and magically the dilution will be dramatically reduced and Ethereum will become competitive with regards to its issuance policy. Now, even if that were to happen, I still think that there are structural problems in the Ethereum market where the amount of ETH held doesn't have the accumulation and distribution cycles that Bitcoin has had with the hodl waves. And so what the hodl waves are bull markets that have redistributed coins from OG hodlers to new hodlers. And we've had several of these cycles happen for Bitcoin already. You know, I think it's like 4 or 5. We've had one cycle for Ethereum happen, right? And the end result was pretty ugly for everyone involved. Whereas Bitcoin cycles have actually been beneficial for everyone involved, and it's more of like a relay race of handing the baton to the next holder. Whereas with Ethereum, it was more about the founders dumping on naive retail speculators at the end of 2017 and them never recovering that value.
I totally agree that with you on that thought that, you know, Bitcoin gains value year after year or 4 years after 4 years. Every altcoin loses value versus Bitcoin given enough time. So you don't want to be holding on to that. I hear some Bitcoin maximalists, I hear some of them say that Ethereum is a scam. Is that accurate? Is that, well, why do some people think that?
So I think the reason that some people think that is that the marketing around it has been duplicitous. And what I mean by being duplicitous is that people like Vitalik have a tremendous amount of confidence about Ethereum's roadmap. And they have had this confidence from day zero, which is wonderful, right? Okay, that's great to have confidence in your roadmap. The problem is that people are putting in their life savings into a product roadmap and an engineering roadmap. Whereas Bitcoin has the opposite approach. Bitcoin says, hey, look, there's the roadmap, turn around and look at the roadmap. And what I mean by that is look at what already exists. Look at the system as it is today. That's what you're buying, right? And that is fundamentally different. That's a fundamental difference between Ethereum and Bitcoin. Now, does that mean Ethereum is a scam or not? I think that it depends on your definition of a scam. You know, to the extent that the roadmap for Ethereum is so far behind schedule and so unrecognizable from its initial marketing, that it has really been a bait and switch. I think that's a better way of describing it than a scam. But that to the extent that the roadmap was communicated with such confidence and certainty that was unwarranted, and that the people communicating this roadmap ought to have known better, or perhaps did know better and intentionally miscommunicated and misrepresented, and perhaps materially misrepresented the state of Ethereum and its future with the specific intent of inducing someone to buy ETH, well, that's fraud, right? That does fit the definition of fraud. Now, you know, ultimately that's kind of for a jury and a judge and a trier of facts to determine in the court of law, right? Because these are legal terms. And so scam is not a legal term, right? But usually when people say scam, what they mean is fraud, right? Which is material misrepresentations with the specific intent of inducing someone into taking a certain course of action, which ends up costing them, right? Which ends up harming them. So, you know, that's why we have legal systems to adjudicate disputes like this. So ultimately, like, I don't think that we should call something a scam unless it's had due process, right? Unless we've done depositions, we've done subpoenas, we've unearthed all of the evidence, we have allowed the defendant to face their accuser, and that, you know, we've had a trier of facts look at all of this, whether it's a jury or a judge or a panel of judges, and that it's been fully appealed. And, you know, that's when we can finally say, okay, this actually was a fraudulent scheme, and these people are guilty, right? I don't think we should assume guilt. And so that's where I think we should be hesitant to say it's fraud. Now, because the word scam is kind of a layperson word, it's not a legal word, and it's kind of in the court of public opinion, that's kind of a different story.
Who do you think the Ethereum evangelist, if Kraken does hire one, do you think it's going to be Eric Wall, your buddy?
Yeah, that's a role we're still hiring for. So if anyone listening is interested in it, definitely DM me, and we'll try to get that going. But
they can DM you.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately I'm looking for someone to work with, right? Because I'm not like someone who's going to I don't know. There's kind of this myth that like Bitcoiners want to like destroy Ethereum people and like eat them alive or something nefarious like that. No, I'm interested in people with different perspectives and arguing with them. The people I really don't like are the people who don't have good counter arguments. Those to me are insufferable, right? The people who come back with fallacies or with implausible or with just insults, right? No, come back with a good counter argument, and then we can have a conversation. And I know that there are people like that in Ethereum, but we're having trouble recruiting it. So if you have any referrals or anything like that, send them our way.
Cool, totally.
All right, that was some great perspective. I like it. Hey, if you want to watch the full interview, check the description below, link and details how to do that. And make sure you subscribe to our channel. We drop a video every day, daily coverage, everything there is to know involving Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. We'll keep you informed. We're dropping another video tomorrow, so subscribe to the channel and I'll see you then.